Yeah, you got that right.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
That's one of my slides.
Alderman Kennedy. Alderman Moore.
Here.
Alderman French. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderman Carter.
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy. Alderman Ogilvy. Chairman Conway. 5 present, you have a quorum.
Pull that shirt off.
Alderman Carter, if you can kind of go up and go through this, and can you grab them? Yeah, it's a good idea. I think
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the...
what I would ask is that we put Board Bill, well, actually, let's put Board Bill 73 and 124 in front of us for discussion.
78. 78.
78. I need better glasses, I'm going during break.
2 committee subs. 1 for each one. Oh, okay.
There are 2 committee subs? Yeah. Okay. Well, we could. I'll tell you what.
They were emailed to the committee, so
Okay.
we have time.
Okay.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks, Dave. You're the best.
So you're gonna need to make a motion, put the committee sub forward.
So I would need a motion to put the committee sub, and 124 committee sub in front of us for discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Kennedy. Alderman Moore.
Yes.
Alderman French.
Yes.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Yes.
Alderman Carter.
Aye. Yes, I'm sorry.
Alderwoman Murphy. Alderman Ogilvy.
Here.
For discussion.
It's to put Board Bill 124 committee sub in front of us for discussion only right now.
Is that aye?
Aye.
Chairman Conway. 6 aye votes.
And so we heard a majority, well, all of this, well, the summary of the bill last meeting when we had the treasurer here, and she explained this in detail. And so I'm going to call up Leonard Johnson from the treasurer's office to explain the committee sub and the difference. And he'll be really quick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For Committee Sub 124, we were told after our initial meetings with you all to speak with the members of VNA, make sure that they were aware of what our intentions were. We did have a meeting with the comptroller, the budget director, and the deputy comptroller. And so with Committee Sub 124, based upon the conversation we had with those 3 individuals, it was suggested that we add language into Board Bill 124 that will show that any future grants, any future donations that are made to the Office of Financial Empowerment will be appropriated through this, along with the funds that we will be allocating from our budget. And so that's the only change that's there. We didn't have any language there, which would have meant once a grant came in, we would have had to come back each time. So we did put a generic number there that was, again, under the direction of the budget director to say have something there. So when grants and donations come in, private funds, we can allocate those immediately to the program.
Okay. I need a list. I'm sorry, thank you. Alderman Moore, any questions?
No.
Alderman French?
No questions.
Alderman Murphy? Any questions? Alderman Ogilvy? if we have no questions, and if anybody does want to make a motion, we can go ahead and do this.
We're on 78.
This would be on, I'm sorry, we're on Board Bill 124, committee substitute. Well, and we have speakers, but everybody's on the pro side, and so I don't know that we need to have everybody come up unless, I would thank everybody for coming out, but I don't know that we need everybody to come up to tell us that they want to see this pass, if that's what's going to happen anyway. So, I mean, unless somebody feels like they really want to come up and talk.
Mr. Chairman, I believe our guests are excited to have this board bill to pass through committee today. And if we know that is going to happen, I believe they all will be willing to relinquish their time to moving this process forward.
Well, I would entertain a motion if somebody wants to make it.
So
It would
you
have to,
adopt it first?
well, that's true.
Committee substitute.
Yeah, you're right. So we would adopt, yeah.
Do we adopt committee substitute for Board Bill 124?
Second.
We can't do previous roll because of,
No.
Alderman Kennedy?
Aye.
Alderman Moore?
Aye.
Alderman French?
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro?
aye.
Alderman Carter? Alderwoman Murphy? Alderman Ogilvy?
Aye.
Chairman Conway? 7 aye votes.
I move that we pass Board Bill 124 committee substitute with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
No, I mean, now that we actually have a motion on 124 committee substitute, can we have a few
Sure.
questions? Okay.
Sure. We'll hold off on that. I'm sorry.
Your motion, I seconded already. Do we have to do anything?
But if you would just withdraw your motion for a minute,
You don't have to withdraw.
We're discussing the motion.
We're discussing it.
Yeah, we're discussing the motion.
Yeah. I'd actually like to hear from some of the folks who came today. I mean, I think, they're here. I'd welcome their perspective. So,
Leonard, why don't you pick who you think best represents the group?
Sure. We have a couple people who are directly working with us as partners here. We have multiple of them. I would welcome the perspective of First Financial Community Credit Union, as they are the account holders, particularly for the College Kids College Savings Account, which I know has been the brunt of contention for these particular hearings. So I would welcome their input, and then, honestly, we have Dr. Jason Purnell here, who you guys are familiar with his For Sake of All research, and who has done research with Washington University, along with some other partners who have directly worked with college savings accounts or college child development accounts, who can give some perspective at least on that side. So I will ask Carol to come, or was it Tracy? Sure, come up, and then Dr. Purnell, if you could come up next and welcome those perspectives.
I would like to try to, although, I would like to try to limit it to 3 to 5 minutes each, if you could, please. And then we'll have questions.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Werner, and I'm with First Financial Federal Credit Union, here with my CEO, Carol Menges, and we are asked to speak in regards to the bill and from our perspective. So I could speak for probably 10 or 20 minutes on on my passion about this city and growing up here in the city of St. Louis and working for an incredibly passionate organization committed to doing some hard things. And I'm the boots on the ground, if you will, and I've given countless hours of financial literacy and education for our youth here in the city of St. Louis, and I have such a brave, intuitive leadership team that also feels like, as a financial institution, we need to provide the resources that the people in the city most desperately need. One of the most successful programs that I've been able to be involved in is working with SLATE. And there was a need for the young people here in the city of St. Louis getting summer jobs and having opportunities to become banked. As you all know, I do not have to educate you on our incredibly disappointing. High standings in our national rankings for unbanked households. And in order to change that, we started with our youth. There was a need because with direct deposit being permanent here in the city of St. Louis for all of our employees, this included our youth. More than 90% of our youth were unbanked, were unable to get those resources, and were unable to effectively use the money that they were making. None of them had a savings account. There was a call to action, and that was by our treasurer, and we answered. So through financial literacy and working very, very hard and tirelessly on those products and services to meet those needs, we now have a successful, sustainable model. Our friends at Slate, Michael Holmes and Dr. Alice Prince, will tell you that it is just unprecedented, the comprehensive program that we have, and we've been able to see the most positive outcomes here in our city. We rival the East Coast and West Coast right here in the Midwest because of what we're doing. And we believe in this program as well. There is a need. There's been a call to action. We're here to serve, and we believe in this sustainable model. Carol, is there anything you'd like to say? Yeah?
So I'm Carol Mingus, and I'm the CEO of First Financial, and I just want to let you all know that, with this college savings account, it's important for us as a credit union to be part of this. There's nothing in it for our credit union. Our investment is in these kids, in their future, when they grow up and turn 16 and 18 and can get car loans. So that's our investment, and it's a long-term investment. The deposit funds are going to be small for our credit union, so it's not like a big money maker for us. But, my commitment is to this community and to make things better for these kids so that they have an opportunity to go to college, because I think that will help some of the poverty problems that we have here in St. Louis. And it's just a commitment that our credit union is willing to do. So.
If I may, one more thing. The part of our commitment also is not just to see the accounts and to hold them and to figure all of the processes out. We've worked tirelessly doing that. But on the other end, we know that this is sustainable and will affect these unbanked households because we're also committed to reach those families and to engage in those positive banking relationships that many people in our communities haven't had. So there's the extensive programs that stem just from the seed and the college seed.
And provide financial education for the parents of these kids too, so.
I would just ask, does anyone have any questions? I'll just do it that way.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to.
Sure, absolutely. So
I would
we'll go
like
down the
to,
list.
from what I'm hearing from you, I would like to both thank you and let you know the appreciation that you did answer the call. Your enthusiasm is apparent, and it's good to see, so thank you.
Alderman Moore? Any questions? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Alderman French?
No questions.
Alderman, well, let's get that. Alderman Murphy? No questions. Alderman Ogilvy?
I did. Can I invite you? Sorry. Back up.
Oh, yeah, no, you guys you're not supposed to leave, I'm sorry.
That's right.
We're new to this.
Thanks. So I just want to ask you guys some of the same questions I asked a week ago. We're kind of thinking that there's supposedly about 3,500 children entering school in the city each year who would be given an account when they enroll in school. So you guys are committed to managing those accounts, or at least holding those accounts as they grow, and we get to, before anybody graduates out of this program, will be probably north of 40,000 bank accounts that will be in your care. That's okay with you guys?
Yes, that's definitely okay, and we're committed to the financial education that goes on with those accounts too. One thing I've challenged my team is that we can't just have these accounts just sit there and have nobody act on them for 15 years and just have deposit accounts just sitting there doing nothing. So we want to make sure that we educate the families on how important it is to continue to contribute to these savings accounts, so these kids actually have some college savings when they get to the point when they're ready to go to college. So our board is in commitment with it as well.
I think the treasurer's office was described as the custodian of the account.
Correct.
So can you explain what that means to you from a banking perspective?
So the treasurer's office is the custodian of the account, and the children are the beneficiaries. And so if the parents can contribute to the account, but the only person that can authorize a withdrawal out of that account is the treasurer's office. So we'll have, a signature card on the bank from the treasurer, and if the treasurer changes, we'll get a new signature card from the new treasurer going forward, and that person will control the withdrawals from the accounts. The credit union won't.
And what happens from your perspective when students move out of the city or out of the state or pass away? What happens to the money in those accounts? And how would you know that person is no longer local?
So our credit union is part of a shared branching network that has branches across the United States. So parents and children can continue to contribute to these accounts, wherever they are in the United States as part of the shared branch network. We are talking through some of the the process if the child passes away, how to get that money back to their parents, because, some of it will belong to the treasurer's office. The program funds will belong to the treasurer's office, but the non-program funds, the funds that have been contributed from the family, will go back to the estate of the child, or, the child. So we're still working through some of that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, it seems relatively easy to sign these up, but the management I could see getting messy over the long haul with so many accounts, some of which you may not have very much contact with the children or the parents or the guardians of over that time period.
Yeah, we definitely know it's going to be a challenge to think through all that and think about all the future potential issues that we could run into. But we've been in discussions multiple times a week on how to handle this and how to handle that, and just kind of brainstorming what potential obstacles that we could face.
And then once the child is, so you're describing these as college savings accounts. Many children are not going to go to college. What happens to the money at that point?
So, the funds have to be used for the program funds. The funds from the city have to be used for post-secondary education, but the contributions from the parents and the child until they turn 25 have to be used for college, and then at that point, we would have to return the money to the child.
And we've been really diligent about what to keep separate. Oh, I'm sorry. We've been diligent about what to keep separate, knowing that the treasury funds are separate than the personal donations and their contributions. So anything that the child contributes is separate from that in as far as we're concerned, so that we are able to keep track of that. So anything that's matched and anything that's raised and contributed through that child, if the child then would grow up and decide that they do not want to go to college, and then they can have their money back, but the treasurer's money and the city's money stays in the pool for the rest of the students.
Okay, right. So the goal is, the purpose of the $50 is twofold. I mean, one, hopefully it's building some money for post-secondary education, but it's also just a means to get the bank account open,
Right.
so that parents know that it's there and can make a contribution to it.
Correct.
Right. Okay, thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. You said you had one other speaker you wanted to bring up from... And if you just state your name, who you're with, and then if you keep it fairly brief, and then we'll just ask you a few questions.
Sure. Jason Purnell, assistant professor at the Brown School at Washington University. Actually, some copies of testimony for you. So almost as soon as I heard Professor William Elliott, now at the University of Kansas, present his findings that children with even small amounts saved in their names are 3 to 4 times more likely to attend college, I initiated the process of setting up savings account for the young men at Loyola Academy, where I was on the board until recently. Since then, I've become even more convinced that this is the type of intervention that can change children's lives. In fact, child development accounts, first introduced by my colleague at the Brown School, Professor Michael Schraden, over 20 years ago, are a key recommendation and for the sake of all for just this reason. U.S. states as diverse as Oklahoma, Indiana, Maine, Rhode Island, and Connecticut have agreed with this assessment, as have several cities. In fact, there are entire countries that have adopted child development accounts as a crucial investment in their children's futures and the future of their nation, including the United Kingdom and Singapore. Research is beginning to bear out the effectiveness of this approach. In a randomized experiment in the state of Oklahoma called Seed OK, children who received $1,000 college savings accounts through the state's 529 program had better social and emotional functioning than children without these accounts. Their mothers also had lower levels of depressive symptoms and higher educational expectations for their children compared to mothers of children without accounts. These are incredibly important findings because early social and emotional functioning predicts success in school and later success in employment. Just college completion alone is crucial, not just because the college-educated have higher lifetime incomes and contribute to their local and national economies as taxpayers and consumers, but also because those with more education live longer and in better health than those without education. In fact, the gap in life expectancy between those with high school or less education and those with some college or more has been widening over the past several decades. In one analysis led by my colleague, Dr. Stephen Wolf of Virginia Commonwealth University, giving everyone in the U.S. the education levels of the college-educated would save more lives than all of the medical advances of the last 20 to 30 years combined. Programs like College Kids are already beginning to bear fruit. That is why I have been supporting Treasurer Jones and her staff, along with my colleagues in the Center for Social Development, which Professor Schraden founded and directs. I applaud the Treasurer for listening to the evidence of their effectiveness and moving decisively to implement such a program for the children in the city of St. Louis. I hope that this committee and the full board of aldermen will support the College Kids programs as well. Thank you.
Thank you, and I agree, and I also believe that the way of getting beyond all the issues and the gun violence and everything, I think if we get better education and as we get through all that, I think it's a good thing. Again, I'll just open it for questions or comments. Alderman Kennedy.
Thank you for your paper. What did the research indicate or give some implications as to why? If you set up this kind of account, what does it do?
So one of the things that we find in the interviews with mothers of the children who have these accounts is that it instills a sense of hope, that they have expectations. In fact, one mother said, well, now that someone expects my child to go to college, I need to start acting like my child's going to college. Mm-hmm. So it's a sense of hope. It's higher expectations and expectations that remain high. Professor Schraden likes to say every parent thinks their child's going to be president of the United States when they're born, but then that drops off as reality sets in. What we see in terms of these accounts is that expectations remain high and parents have higher expectations. We haven't had the opportunity to do the kinds of analysis because of the shortness of time that would tell you definitively this led to this, led to this. But what we're learning from the early evidence is that it changes the mindset of parents, and we believe that impacts their children.
So so it indicates at this point, by taking these small steps now, it raises the expectations, which then changes the behavior.
Yes.
In both the youth or the students and in the family, or
yes.
Can change it enough to where the outcomes become greater.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alderman Moore? Alderman French? Alderman Murphy?
No question.
Alderman Ogilvie? We're going to bring Leonard. We'll bring Leonard back up. Thank you so much for coming out.
My
Leonard-
pleasure.
Leonard, can I get you to come back up and answer a couple Hey, Leonard, can I get you to come back up for a minute? Alderman Ogilvy, he has a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Thanks. I just want to confirm, I think the treasurer said this last week, but we are looking at this as an annual appropriation?
So yes, we do see the treasurer's office seeding those accounts on an annual basis.
Okay. Meaning the annual appropriation goes through, at a minimum, E&A?
Yes,
Okay.
and through this body.
Right, okay. I just asked, I mean, I'm convinced this is a good idea and will pay some dividends in the long run. It's just, a couple days, we're probably going to vote to mortgage City Hall to get a bunch of money. And so I've become convinced over the last 2 months that every expenditure we make, or every new category of expenditure, probably needs a lot more scrutiny than it's been getting at some points in the past. So I just want to, before we embark on this, I just want to, understand the numbers and the commitment, financial commitment that we're making.
Sure. And I do want to point out again, Alderman, that we do a 60-40 split with our net position, AKA net revenues. So after we pay our debts, after we pay for the operation of the parking division and all of our equipment, everything's paid. What's left over is our net position. We split that net position, 60% stays with the treasurer's office, 40% goes to, up to 40% goes to the city. We have been given 40% each year since we've been here. Of the 60% that we keep, that will then go over into our reserves, which are strong, would go over to our reserves. We're saying we want to take out just a small portion, $300,000 of that to fund the Office of Financial Empowerment, which the College Kids program, the $50 seat is included in there. The coordinator for the program is there, and then this year we have some first-year expenses. You were speaking with First Financial about managing the accounts. Well, there's a software where internally that person who's coordinating the program will be able to see each account, how it's functioning. And so those first-year expenses are there, but we don't see this being an annual allocation of $300,000. It should be something less than that. I don't know what that is today.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Carter, you want to come up and close on this?
Yes, this is something that is extremely needed now, and so I urge you all to vote yes on this. Thanks.
Okay, then I would call for the motion
Yeah, I'll
to
renew my
do
motion.
pass.
I'll renew my motion. and I'll
Okay.
also ask the sponsor if he add me as a co-sponsor.
There you go. Well, we'll go, no call for previous roll, so Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Kennedy?
Aye.
Alderman Moore? Aye. Alderman French?
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro?
Aye.
Alderman Carter? Aye. Alderwoman Murphy? Aye. Alderman Ogilvy?
Aye.
Chairman Conway? 7 aye votes do pass.
Okay, so now we got, do we have a committee sub for 78? 78. So I would ask that we make a motion to put, we already put,
Yeah,
oh,
we
that's right.
already
Okay,
adopted.
So
Yeah.
I'm new at this, so,
I don't know if we adopted.
so it's ready for discussion.
Okay.
So,
Well, now, you know what? I think that we
Adopted
adopted
the committee
to
substitute.
discuss.
Yeah, we
Right.
just discussed it. So let me move to adopt committee substitute for Board Bill 78.
Second.
Previous roll.
previous,
And so with this bill, it's just a simple change. We seen this bill last year, right? To create the office. Yeah. And so within this, we just added one line, and this is from prior years. So line 21, allocation of increased net position of parking division funds. And so this is what this does. This gives us the opportunity to use the money. And so that's it. Very simple, straight to the point.
so unless somebody wants to hear from someone, then I would say you're welcome to close on it. And
I close.
All right. I move that we pass committee substitute for Board Bill 78 with a due pass recommendation. Previous roll.
No objection to the previous rule. We passed Board Bill 78, committee substitute out with a due pass recommendation. Thank everyone for coming out. We appreciate your time, and we're going to adjourn this unless...
Is it possible if I can just at least take time to thank some of the folks
Sure,
that came out, that
absolutely.
put on
We won't
their
adjourn
nice
until-
clothes to come and join us? So first, Adolphus Pruitt from the NAACP, Chris Krameyer from Beyond Housing, Alan Ivey from Reliance Bank, Clayton Evans from Reliance Bank, Carol Minens from First Financial, Tracy Verner from First Financial, Debbie Irwin from United Way, Jackie Hutchinson from St. Louis Regional Unbanked Task Force, Lisa Potts from St. Louis Regional Unbanked Task Force, and Ethel Bynum from the Office of County of Executive. And that is it.
Well,
You all look nice.
and you do, you look nice. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
I think it's important. It does show that there was a lot of interest in this. And again, thank you for coming out, and we adjourn the meeting.